You're road tripping to America's best music venues with Kyle Lamont. On this episode, we're at Maine's most remote music venue, Eureka Hall. Concertcast the podcast is an audio atlas filled with music maps, conversations, and discoveries to help you navigate America's soundscape and tune into every state's live music scene. Concert culture is travel-centric, and every venue has a voice, so let us go and listen. Created and hosted by Kyle Lamont.
Hi, I'm Kyle Lamont. I'm with Ben Cosgrove, and we're in Aroostook County in northern Maine. Ben and I have been passing the time before his gig with a snowy stroll in Stockholm, and then we made a quick jaunt up to the origin of Route 1 in Fort Kent, Maine. We're now en route back to Eureka Hall, where he's performing later tonight. Ben has traveled all over the country as a solo musician and also as a keyboardist for the Ghost of Paul Revere. He plays and writes modern instrumental music about landscapes, and just like being drawn to geography, he's drawn to playing in non-traditional venues.
I think my best shows happen in like living rooms or bookstore, like places that aren't laden with like history of like other musical things happening there. Like I do a lot of work with national parks and like conservation organizations, and so I end up playing in places that are like not like I'm the first musician to ever do anything there.
And I feel like a little bit more, like play anywhere. What do you mean, like at a national park?
Yeah, and I've done a bunch of artist residencies with national parks and national forests, and worked with a national scenic trail for the last year and a half. What I like a lot about those relationships is they kind of inevitably result in me playing music in a bunch of places that don't usually have music. When I was working with the White Mountain National Forest, they had me run around I played in a bunch of like daycare centers and elementary schools, and I played in the prison in Berlin twice, and I played in a town hall and a church basement and a private home. I worked with the New England Trail, and they had me play in a library and in a brewery and in a like professional conference for conservationists.
So you like the untraditional venue?
Definitely. I think it's much more fun because everyone is equally surprised to see you there.
Which is Eureka Hall in a nutshell. You're surprised that anyone is around because this region is so far removed from the rest of the state. But I think that the journey to get here is partly why Eureka has garnered such a cool reputation for being one of the best places to see live music in Maine. Well, what are your thoughts on Eureka as a venue?
Oh man, I love it. The first time I played here was like 5 years ago. I think it's been around for maybe 8 years. But you should ask George about that. I don't have the hard data. But I like it a lot because it's, and especially in the winter, like you get all these people kind of from all over who have come up here to like drive around on machines and things. But it's like the only kind of public house for a while in any direction. So people kind of like, first couple times I came here, no one knew or cared who I was, but they came out anyway because it was like this person from Massachusetts drove up here to like play music. We should go see what the hell that's about.
Can you speak on just the interior of the venue/restaurant, just from a literal standpoint? What does it look like to you when you first walk in?
It reminds me a lot of a place near where I grew up called Harlow's, which is where I played a bunch of my first gigs. Right? There's a lot of, everything's made out of wood. It's very like warm and like cozy feeling. There's not an obvious stage. Like musicians kind of set up in a corner. Everybody seems to know each other, which is a rare and special thing. And it can fit about 70 people in that bottom room, I think. And oftentimes there's 70 people in it.
And so for me, like it's like when I walk in, just the essence of the building makes me feel like I'm supposed to hear maybe country music or rock or, something of that genre.
Yeah,
just as part of the way we pair a space with the music that's supposed to play there, right?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the fascinating feature of a venue is sort of the music that's supposed to be there or what its purpose is. But you're playing tonight
Yeah,
You're deviating from the stereotype.
I don't think so. I think like the great thing about Eureka is they really do a little bit of everything. Like they've committed early on. Like I don't know if you met Travis Sear. He was there today. He'll be there tonight, I think. He does a lot of the booking for Eureka. He's a musician up here. He founded the Roots Acoustic Festival, which you saw a couple T-shirts, I think, advertising it. It happens up here every summer. And I think there's a general commitment among the Eureka people and Travis and everybody to kind of like bring all types of music from however far away it may be to the people who live up here. Because it's, there aren't many places for it, and there's plenty of people willing to make the trip, especially because like Eureka goes out of its way to be so good to musicians. The first time I played here, I was immediately made to feel as though I was part of a family. And I don't know, I think it behooves venues to treat musicians that way. Like, I feel I would play here for free. It's a purely joyful experience. It's not like we come up here to try to get a, like, record contract or anything. It's like people come because they like listening to music, and people book us because they appreciate music. And I don't know. It's a rare thing, and it's especially special in rural places like this.
Well, not to be cliche, but part of the fun is the journey, right? And Eureka is an expression of discovery, right? And so, it really feels like that when you get to this venue is, 4 hours later, you're at this very cool spot. We roll into the parking lot, and the building is aglow with lights and warmth. Ben jumps out to regroup with Max, who's co-headlining with him tonight. I park in between two snowmobiles and then head inside. Sort of crazy, right? Parking in between snowmobiles? I mean, come on. First impression of the venue is cozy. There's pine wood everywhere, and you can feel the history as well. White twinkling Christmas lights are strung up, and old photos of the town adorn the walls. I head to the bar, belly up, and ask for George, the owner. He comes out from the kitchen, and after lighting up a shot of alcohol, apparently a new type of drink they're offering here, and downing it with the bartender, he asks me what I would like for supper. Because, oh, by the way, Eureka is not just a great music venue, it's also a fantastic restaurant that offers contemporary twist on pub fare, a major departure from meat and potato meals that this region is known for. I order oysters Rockefeller and pad thai. George tells me that once the show's over, we can talk more about the venue. And I can already tell this is going to be a fun conversation. The venue fills up with diners and concertgoers. Ben and Max Garcia Conover, a Portland folk musician who's sharing the bill with him tonight, take the stage. They are doing a round-robin set and even jamming together on certain songs. Ben opens up, as he said he would earlier, with his song Montreal. He's such an awesome performer. At times, it's like a bona fide rock show. People are bobbing their heads, smiling, really feeling it. I even noticed the bartender, whose name is Ezra, bouncing to the rhythm as well. Ezra is from the area and started out as a reluctant patron before he became a staple here.
When I came back from college and I could finally go out to the bars, which was never something I ever wanted to do in northern Maine. I'm like, I don't want to go out to the fucking bars. And they're like, we're going to go to Eureka. I said, that is the last place I ever thought I wanted to go. But we come here, and I walk through those doors. This is not the same Eureka that I used to know. And there was music playing. Actually, the first band that I ever saw here was Ghost of Paul Revere. And it was just a freaking good time, and I've been coming back ever since.
Ezra believes that Eureka is made for outliers like him.
You come here, and you see the people that don't really fit into that group, that larger entity that is Northern Maine. And for whatever reason, they gravitate towards Eureka. Because for whatever reason, they're outsiders. They don't fit in. They get something deeper than just trying to get to the end game. Trying to get to the tombstone without actually being underground. And it's all about that journey. The people that get the journey, like Eureka. They get Eureka. It pushes their comfort zones. It pushes their boundaries. and it resonates with people.
And for snowmobilers who stumble in off the trail that goes along the backside of Eureka, clientele who might not otherwise come in here if it weren't for the location, well,
it's one of the few places in the world that you can make fun of somebody from across the bar. Really interesting character studies up here. It's because everybody's a character.
But in general,
all roads seem to lead to northern Maine in one sense or another. It's just, like I said, it attracts people that wander. And a lot of people that are wandering just end up settling down because they find that it's a good place to live. It's a good place to just stay. It's not really dangerous unless you're wandering outside without a gun and during bear season. I mean, the only thing that can kill you is nature up here. You don't have to worry about people. People care about each other. People pitch in to keep each other happy.
And of course, I immediately want to know some backstory about the building.
Eureka's gone through 1,000 iterations. So this is the second building. It used to be 4 stories tall, then it burned down. It used to be the town office. It used to be the nursing home. It used to be the arcade. It used to be the town hall. It used to be, I mean, you name it. This is where they used to take care of kids, old people, and then they converted it into a restaurant back in the 80s. And now it's, technically, this is the 21st birthday of Eureka as a restaurant. So it's worth celebrating.
But this building in particular has sort of been special.
So if you look down here, audio people, we're looking down at the floor. It's a bowling alley. This place used to be a bowling alley. Yeah, actually, I recommend that you go and talk to Tim Sandstrom, the gentleman. Oh, he's having a smoke right now. He's coming back in. You'll see him. He's that gentleman right over there.
With the plaid?
With the plaid.
Okay.
If you want, he's like the historian of Stockholm, Maine.
Really?
He'll tell you everything you want to know.
Okay.
He grew up on Karlstrom Hill. He's as Swedish as they get, and he'll tell you exactly why Stockholm matters and why it's important, and why Eureka fits Stockholm.
So I trail after Tim. Cold is an understatement, and I'm surprised that snowmobilers are still worrying about. I introduce myself and ask him for the bullet points on Stockholm's history. And how is Stockholm related to Sweden? In the bigger picture here.
Well, we were part of the people that migrated over here, 1860, something like that.
He tells me about the Swedish Colony Act, which brought Swedish people here as a way to help preserve public land from the Canadians. In essence, they formed a barrier between French Canadians and Americans to protect lumber.
I mean, it was the river, and I mean, downtown where the Legion and stuff is, that was all mills, all of it. There was a clothespin factory there. There was a veneer mill. There was a pulp mill. In 1925, this was the veneer capital of the world. This was a huge town. It's nothing like it was. This is one of the few buildings, this Anderson store across the street. One of the few original buildings that are still here, but this was like a city back then.
Stockholm was a bustling city at one point because of all things, clothespins. In the 1920s, this area was the biggest exporter of clothespins in the entire country, and the Swedish heritage still runs thick here. Every summer, there's a 3-day midsummer festival that celebrates Swedish traditions, complete with a maypole and everything. What is your recollection of this building back when you were a kid?
Wow. Way back in the day when it was open, my Uncle Albert built this place and owned it. He would be a great uncle. And there was a bowling alley in the basement here. And I think George has removed pretty much all of that. But at one time when Bob and Susie had it, the bar was made out of a piece of bowling alley. And then upstairs they called it the shop, but it was a big gathering place. This used to be another story taller than it was. It was also a rooming house at that time. Yeah, this was quite a place once upon a time.
Isn't it nuts that it's a music venue now that brings in people from all over the state?
I love it.
Did you ever want to leave this area?
I was gone for many years. I took off out of here in 1985. I went to Alaska, which is almost a birthright thing for a boy from Stockholm.
Why is that?
Just a large percentage of young men from Stockholm migrated to Alaska. for years and years.
What's up with that?
Just a couple of I call them uncles, but they're really cousins. And they went there in like 1958. They were some of the original from Stockholm that went there. They made big construction businesses up there, which still exist. And then there was money to be made, you know. And the other place everybody went from here, like in the 60s up into the 70s, was Connecticut. And you ask somebody, where did so-and-so go? They've gone to heaven, hell, or Connecticut.
So what made you come back?
The entire time I was gone, all I wanted to do was come back.
What is it about this place that you love so much?
It's home. In a matter of minutes, you can be where you're not going to see anybody for days. And I like that. I like the woods. We got little hunting camps here and there. Tucked away. My favorite one, it doesn't have the cell phones won't work there. Don't I love that? We're in Nowhereville, but it's big, you know. The land area is enormous. If you had a chance.
Are you seeing people moving here at all?
There's a lot of people from outside that come here, and for the most part, they come and then they're here for a couple of years and they go. But there are people that are coming. There's a lot of people that come here and buy places all around Stockholm here that they just come to hunt, fish, sled, four wheels. The four-wheeler thing is a big industry. The snowmobile thing is huge, you know. And, of course, since they pulled up the rail bed, that's like the interstate for snowmobiles. It's just, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in the entire Northeast. Organic farming is becoming popular. And like even Sigrid that's here, she's a waitress.
Yeah.
She's into organics and honey and bees and all kinds of stuff like that, and it's small in comparison to big potatoes and, you know, big business, but the market is there, you know. So, and of course we got plenty of room. We got no shortage of land.
Yeah,
It's an enormous state, and it's a small community, you know. Well, I can drive from here to Bangor, just keep my arm out the window because everybody I see I know, you know.
Hey, see you, Tim.
Hey, take care, Tyler.
You gonna see you this summer, buddy, or what?
You bet.
Come on up, buddy.
Ride right. The moose are moving there. That's the daddy of my grandson.
I head back inside to take in the last few songs. Up next, I sit down with George, the owner of Eureka Hall.
The bright light social hours enveloping song, The Sea of the Edge, has a music video. From Good to Go Studios and director Kyle Lamont, watch Love at Last Light, a love story about two travelers who rendezvous at a lighthouse in Maine. goodtogostudios.com to watch.
George is originally from New Jersey and grew up in the service industry.
The town I grew up in was called Wall, but my father had a bar in Belmar for 40 years.
He ended up in northern Maine, because of a girl who happens to be from here. But they met of all places in Maui, Hawaii. They moved back to Aroostook County together, and in 2010, George bought the building and got busy, remodeling and transforming Eureka into what it is today.
My buddy's a timber framer and an organic farmer down the road here, so him and I did all this work. All the live edge bar, that's all cut from the county. It's actually cut from about 5 miles from here. We probably put, 9 months into the renovation. We did it all behind the wall, and then we just tore the wall down. And one day there was half of a bar, and then the next day there was a whole bar.
Like a grand reveal.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you get a lot of whispers when you first moved into town?
I'm gonna say probably yes. You don't really hear that if you're from away. I mean, people are really cool in town, but it was definitely, the outsiders have bought, who owns Eureka now, and people were definitely really interested, There's only 250 people in this town, but as far as what it is now, It's more of a destination for the entire county. We get people from as far away as Holton, and as far north as the Allagash. So it's the music, it's the vibe. Definitely our family.
And the food.
Yeah, I try to bring the best quality ingredients I can to the table and try to make it as affordable as possible for the area. It's a tough one to put like a big ticket item on food when you want people to experience something that they've never been able to experience.
And hosting live music was also part of his vision.
I always wanted, the local original talent to come play, and it was always a passion of mine to be an original venue. Give respect to the musicians that are grinding it out. Playing the music that they wrote from their heart. So hooking up with Travis was one of those things that just seems like it was in the stars, like it was bound to happen. He was searching for a venue like us, and we were searching for a guy like him. And from first meeting, it was like meeting a brother, So, and since then, it's been I don't think I go 7 days without seeing him. So.
Travis Sear is an awesome roots rock and folk musician from Van Buren. He's known statewide because of how passionate he is for bringing great music to northern Maine. Without him, let's just say it'd be pretty quiet up here. And also because he started a music festival called Arusta Acoustic.
Ride my driver through the thunder, gotta get away from the madness and the sadness and the darkness of my day. Well, the woman in the tree started calling my name. Said I could feel your pain, the cold wind and the rain.
By treating the bands, the way we think they should be treated, kind of making them feel like they're rock stars, in their own way, because they are. I mean, they're grinding it out at a level that's amazing, and for them to take a ride up here, 5-6 hours. We try to give them as much praise and accommodation as we can.
They can stay here. You have apartments for them upstairs.
I have a full apartment, 3 bedrooms, a lot of inflatable mattresses. Generally 1 to 2 nights, depending on how their schedule works. We book them for, and they're treated to like a home away from home.
Eureka has bands practically every night. They've even hosted the Ghost of Paul Revere.
They were a band, I don't know if I would say that it was like they made it like, wow, these guys are playing here. It was more like, wow, these guys have a lot of talent, and we got to be with them before anybody got their hands on them, before they got to be, touring nationally and super busy.
I just love how this community is open-minded enough to hang out, have a good meal, listen to music maybe they're not quite used to or accustomed to, and leave probably feeling a little bit surprised, especially with Ben's music, with it being a little bit more what do you think about that? Presenting a different taste of music to this community. Was that conscious risk?
It's been a little bit of conscious risk. We've definitely had acts that push a bar in different ways. Ben is definitely in a way that if you take a minute to listen, your jaw just kind of slowly drops, and you're kind of immersed in what he's doing. The first time he came up here, not knowing totally about him, he came up solo, and he doesn't really sing. So he played for 3 hours just playing his songs on piano for the room. And still, even though people were, it was different for them to hear, a piano, I guess, controlling a room like he does.
And one of the more memorable performances for George was from a woman named Phoebe Legere.
She showed up, with, she had a microphone, like a headset microphone, so she could do all of her stuff as a one-woman show. She plays the accordion, the guitar, the Indian flute, like Native American flute. I was just walking through the tavern while she was setting up, and she's having a full, fluent conversation with me, like looking me in the face, having a full-on deep conversation with me, and this guitar was making sounds that were just like melting my heart, kind of thing.
And how did this come about?
Her booking agent found us kind of as like a stopping point that, she must have found out that we hire musicians, give them a place to stay, feed them, and it was an in-between when she was heading to Canada. When she took the stage, per se, she was wearing a mini skirt that just barely covered everything. And like I said, she's in her 60s, probably. I'm guessing. Maybe I hope I'm not wrong. Absolutely beautiful, like long legs, a beautiful woman, and she was on chairs while, like you said, challenging customers. She got up on a chair, playing with her accordion, singing songs that were like "My Toot Toot," and totally shaking her hips, like to the point where like wives were kind of like slapping the arms of their husband for staring at her, like. And she was amazing. It was one of the best shows I can remember as far as challenging like the crowd up here. Her songs were written almost like campfire songs that a family would sing, but they definitely had the innuendos, and it was an unbelievable show. And the level of musician, like, it was kind of like, how is this happening? How did she find us?
Seems to be a common theme here. Like, are you just sort of dumbstruck sometimes? Like, how is this happening?
Absolutely. You never can underestimate how word travels amongst musicians and how making them feel at home really means a lot to them.
Well, and it's just this whole, like, essence of the journey to come up here and, like, being handsomely rewarded with great food, good beer, and good music, and just, like, awesome personalities behind the bar.
Yeah, the county people are awesome. They have great personalities. They love people. It's why they call it vacation land, They love entertaining and showing people their culture up here, and yeah, it's been great.
But whenever George can, he likes to explore other parts of the state.
I haven't seen enough of Maine, so those are my excuses. Whenever I can, as much as Travis plays in the building, I actually don't see his music as often because I'm running around. So when he goes and travels downstate, I'll load up my dogs and go follow him around, pick a camping spot, and go meet other people from other spots of Maine, and see the coast and see what it's all about. So it's a lot of fun.
The crowd has dwindled, and I bid my adieus to everyone, but it's so hard to leave. You know that feeling of when you arrive in a new place and already know you want to return? Like this trip can't possibly be your only visit or your last? As soon as I stepped into Eureka Hall, that's how I felt. I knew I'd be back, for the hospitality, for the vibe, and for the damn good food and music.
Next episode, Lamont heads to the Highlands, the home of Sugarloaf Mountain, to hang out with the ghost of Paul Revere before their show in the King Pine Room. For places to stay in Stockholm, your best bet is an Airbnb. So many awesome lake houses in the area. Or stay at the Northeastland Hotel in downtown Presque Isle, about 30 minutes from the venue. This town is also where you'll find more restaurants and bars. This has been a Good To Go Studios production, made in Ellsworth, Maine. Our resident mastermind is Mark Tuckashan. Our editor and engineer is Pete McGill. Subscribe, rate, and review ConcertCast on your podcast app of choice. Type in concertcast.live for a music-centric itinerary and to learn how you can be part of the show. Special thanks to George Papas and everyone at Eureka for their hospitality, to Ben Cosgrove for the sweet tunes, and to Travis Sear for his song Great Big Beautiful Thing, and to Pepper Little, Amy Charlie, Abby Rock Jessamine, Corey Chandler, Emma Temmie, Eddie Contento, Jesse Kudo. And thank you for listening.